Before werewolves get added to the game, I thought we should rank the best and the worst occults and life states in The Sims 4. Hey humans, how's it going? It's Shiny Today here. Today we're going to be looking at all of the existing occults and life states in the game, giving them pros and cons list, as well as ranking them in terms of my opinions, which are my favorite and least favorites. Given that a bunch of these occults and life states do come from various DLCs, these are not DLC-related rankings and reviews. We're not looking at build buy, we're not looking at cast, we're specifically looking at the life and the essence of that life state in gameplay. Let's jump into vampires. Now, personally, vampires are my favorite occult in the game, so I'm going to try and tone my bias down as much as possible. But here are all of the pros and cons that I personally have for the vampires, without needing to get into the nitty-gritty of each pro and con. The big standouts for me are naturally that they come with their own bassinets, they come with their own urns or tombstones. Vampires also have two forms, so you can walk around in your dark form. They have an extensive skill tree with strengths and weaknesses. And then, of course, just vampires are just incredible. For me, personally. I know a lot of Simmers find them annoying, particularly with Vlad in mind, but I adore Vlad because I think it's hilarious how collectively the Sims community, for the most part, find him annoying as all hell. But Vladdy Daddy for me, absolute 10 out of 10, adore vampires, but the big takeaway there is just how extensive the skill tree is, over and above the aspirations that you get that don't necessarily work as tutorials to vampire gameplay, but also can influence the way that your vampire interacts with the world as well. Moving along to aliens that come with Get to Work, immediately they get 10 plus shiny brownie points for having their own bassinets and their own urns and tombstones, which are actually very pretty if you want to use them in terms of like design and just detailing. So always fun to have those around. And then they also have two forms, so they've got their disguise. They don't have a skill tree, which is something that is worth mentioning, is that they do have a bunch of social interactions, but something I thought was really weird is that they don't come built in with the ability to visit their homeworld of Saxum, which is Max's backwards, by the way. Recently found that out. But they also, just as much as any other Sim who's working on a rocket ship, who's building their rocket science skill, they have to follow the exact same journey, despite them being aliens, and then unlock the ability to create the wormhole generator, upgrade your rockets, and then finally go to Sixum. So very, very weird to me personally that they can't just automatically like contact home or whatever the case is. So that's a bit of a letdown for me. And then there's just no skill tree. So yes, they've got gameplay and all of those other things. It's fun to see Sims getting abducted, with male Sims coming back with a 25% chance of being pregnant. Spellcasters come with Realm of Magic. And before we dive into the actual spellcaster life states, the builds in Realm of Magic are terrible. I feel like I wouldn't be doing this video justice without mentioning that. I know we're not getting into build, buy, and cast, but the builds that come with Realm of Magic, absolutely terrible. Absolutely shocking. But moving along from that, spellcasters, very much the same as vampires, have an extensive amount of gameplay. When it comes to skills and powers, abilities, things that they can learn, there's an entire new realm that they can travel to that has different areas, different locations. Also really great for screenshots, by the way. Just like vampires, if you want them to be different, you can have very, very different spellcasters depending on their abilities, depending on how they choose to use their powers, and all of those types of things. So a lot of gameplay again. So they're kind of just below vampires for me, although it is quite complicated to get into. So you are going to have to take some time or read up on a bunch of tutorials or gameplay walkthroughs to get the most out of your Realm of Magic gameplay with your spellcasters. They also come with bassinets, and they also come with their special urns and tombstones. The urns are absolutely stunning as well, but not available in the debug of build buy. So worth mentioning and noting that the tombstone is there, but the urn isn't. So if you're looking for that in debug for whatever decorative purposes, you're gonna actually have to kill off a bunch of spellcasters, but you didn't hear that from me. Mermaids! Oh boy. Island living. They don't have bassinets. They don't have special urns. They don't have special tombstones. They don't have a skill tree. They do have some powers, but they do not have a skill tree. They do not have anything in terms of really able to influence the Sims around them that much. Yes, the animations for the Sims that are mermaids, swimming and all of those things, amazing, fantastic. They can change the weather, and then they can somewhat influence Sims that are in water. But outside of that, the most I find with mermaids when I'm playing with one is that their dehydration goes down so fast. And when they're children, before they've developed their mermaid essences, the hygiene goes down so quickly as well. So that's just a frustrating bit of gameplay for me. But there's no aspirations. There is no additional skill tree or anything like that. So very much the same way they did the Spa Day refresh and overhaul, I would love to see Island Living get an overhaul, purely so that mermaids can get the skill tree and the extension and expansion of their powers that I feel that they deserve. Also, Bassinet Tombstone Urn. Come on, though. That's unfortunate. It's an entire different occult. You can make them in CAS. How is there no tombstone? How is there no bassinet? How is there no urn? That makes me big sad. Servos are a life state that come with Discovery University once you've gone through your robotics skill and you actually manage to assemble a servo, and then you can activate it. From there, it becomes a playable sim that lives in your household with you. They've got different needs and everything like that, but also, in comparison to mermaids, have an urn and have a tombstone. They're cool and they look really funky. Naturally, there's no bassinet for servos, for the record. Can't be having babies be born as servos. Servos are built, they're not born. Then finally, I want to have a chat about plant sims. Now, I know there is the plant sim scenario that everyone dove into headfirst that might not necessarily have even been aware that plant sims are a temporary life state that you can even achieve in base game. But plant sims, temporary life state, your sim does eventually go back to their normal sim self after a prolonged amount of time. There is no skills or skill tree or anything specific like that. The needs do change, so you need to basically act like a plant. Your bladder disappears. Well, not bladder disappears, but your bladder need gets switched out for water. And then food is different because you don't necessarily eat normal food. You need to go bask in sun rays. The temporary life states is a bit of a letdown to start with, because if I wanted to choose a life of being a plant sim, I would like the option to make it a permanent transition and then maybe have a skill tree once you kind of committed to that lifestyle and various skills and socials and all of those other things. Something that the previous iterations of The Sims had when you were a plant sim, first of all, it was a permanent life state. But outside of that, you could also pollinate to make a toddler plant sim. And they were heckin' cute. They were adorable. You would like shake your head around and there would be spores and everything. And then boom, bam, congratulations. The stork has just arrived with your baby plant sim. So that's something that I do miss from previous Sims iterations. I feel like that was Sims 2. I don't think that was Sims 3. So they don't have a bassinet or an urn or anything like that. But worthwhile mentioning, given that they do have a scenario and given that they are a difference and they do change your needs for the Sims. But I would still place them better than Mermaids, because Mermaids came with an entire expansion pack and they have no powers. But anyways, besides the point. So finally, to wrap that up, here are my official rankings, because honestly, Vampire, Spellcaster, and then we've got our aliens slash servos. I'm sorry, Mermaids. Then we've got our plant sims, and then at the very bottom we have Mermaids, because once again, make it make sense. How is there no special urn? How is there no special tombstone? How is there no bassinet? How is there no skill tree? It was an expansion pack. But with that said, I am hoping to see from Werewolves, I am hoping to see an extensive skill tree. I'm hoping to see a bunch of aspirations assigned to the werewolf way of life. Even as your normal sim, to be able to want to become a werewolf or learn more about werewolves or everything about that. And then we do already know that we're getting a bassinet. So hopefully that also means we're getting tombstones and urns, because clearly that's my priority here is tombstones, urns, and bassinets, because that gives me a lot of shiny brownie points towards these various occults and life states. They have hinted a bunch in terms of werewolves really disliking vampires, so hey, Twilight, what's up? No, but actually really, even if you don't have the vampire game pack installed, I would like to still see them being able to like badmouth vampires or We've seen the little pointy face on the punching bags that is supposed to obviously represent a vampire. So I really would like to see the synergy and crossover between the two game packs if you have both of them installed. I would like to see that animosity come across, and then you can have like Romeo and Juliet story where you have a vampire and a werewolf fall in love and continue out their days as a weird occult family that has hybrid babies, which technically probably won't work, but anyways, besides the point. That is going to be the video. Let me know if you agree with my rankings, or if you absolutely hate vampires and mermaids are your be-all and end-all. Let me know. I'd love to hear what your opinions are on that. But that is going to be the video. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here. Remember that we all human differently, and I'll see you humans again soon. Dag dag!